You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
War Eagle Auburn fans, and welcome to Tiger Tracks, your source for Auburn track and field news and discussion. I'm your host, Jessica Loomis, and I'm here with my husband, Kyle, to discuss the Florida Relays, or part of the Florida Relays, I guess.
You know, the great thing about outdoor track and field is that it's outdoor in a very sometimes nice part of the year. Things are blooming, it's sunny, it's not too hot.
There's also tornadoes.
That's also the bad part about it, right?
Thunderstorms, hurricanes, those things.
The very nature of the beast that is
literally
outdoor.
Nature.
Yes, outdoor track and field is that you have to contend with the elements, whether they be good or bad. And that's, Have we had a event be affected this much?
Honestly, this is the first time since I've started doing this podcast that this has happened where the team chose to leave early because the weather was so bad.
So just for point of reference here, I know this is high school, this is college different. How often did that happen in high school when you were running track and field events?
So here's a great example for you. When I was a freshman in high school, I believe.
A long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to think, was I an 8th grader or a freshman? We made it to state for the 4x800.
Mm-hmm.
And now, granted, we came in second to last at state, but we made it. We were chosen to go, and it was in Tuscaloosa. And there was a tornado.
I just gagged in my mouth.
Yeah, there was a tornado, and we all had to go inside their Coliseum. And one of my running partners was in the porta potty at the time that the tornado sirens went off. And we had to go find her and drag her into the Coliseum. And literally, the tornado flew over Tuscaloosa, and I don't say that lightly because it truly was a tornado that did touch down right outside of Tuscaloosa, and there has been a tornado that happened.
I was going to say I would make jokes about porta potty Tuscaloosa. Yeah, that's not the time.
Truly, it's not
after
a
what they've
situation.
Been through. No.
But we came back after the storm went. You know, we were all down in this bunker. I mean, all the fans, everybody, for a couple hours. Came back outside, and, you know, at track meets, you have tents and everything. All the tents are gone. They flew away. Like, everything is just annihilated. And then we had to go run our race and came in second to last. But what I do remember is we never got lapped.
So basically what I'm hearing is in high school, y'all make it happen no matter what.
Well, that was a little different situation, too. That was the state championship, and yeah, it was just different.
Yes, obviously it's
totally
different. Much different circumstance as an in-season meet versus a qualifying event for state champions level type of stuff there. So I get that.
And the storms were going to pass.
Right.
From what we could see, it looked like this storm was not going to pass at any time soon. It just kind of hung out.
It's been tough for the spring sports. It always is to some degree, whether it's baseball, softball, track and field. They always have to contend with these elements, so to speak. But like I said, when we started this part of the discussion, this is the first time I think you and I have talked about us having to either have a canceled or a delayed or halved, if you want to call that.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Event.
So, I mean, I'm very sad for Auburn. I know they were really excited to go, but I'm grateful that for the athletes that did get to compete, grateful that we had some really great performances, and you know, looking ahead, because there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, right? The team was safe. That's number one in everything, is that they made it home safely, that nobody was injured, and number two, that there's another meet next weekend that they get to compete in.
So it would be bad if this was like another week delay or something. They had a week off. It would kind of set them back, but it'd make things a little harder to adjust to.
Right.
That's the great thing about this schedule, is that it's laid out nicely where they kind of get in the routine, and they at least went through the travel process, so they're part of it.
Right, and we certainly don't want to make light of the disappointment, because we know that this is very disappointing for the athletes, but we also try in both our personal lives and our podcast life to have a positive spin on sometimes
Speak for yourself.
on something that we would, you know, overall think is a negative outcome of having to leave the meet early, but truly we're just grateful that the team was safe.
No, I agree. But let's talk about some of these highlights that we have to talk about, because even in a halved meet, we got some highlights.
We did. We had a lot of athletes compete very well. So Joyce Camelli, she made her outdoor track debut for 2022 and placed second in the 1500 meter with a time of 4 minutes, 15.56 seconds. So obviously Joyce coming out, killing it as usual.
Joyce just says, you know what, first event of the year for me in outdoor season, I'm just going to walk out here and take second place. That's fine. It's whatever.
Literally.
It's what I do. She's the rock star. We come to expect these things from her. So I hate to It sounds like I'm belittling it, but it's just kind of expected at this point that Joyce Camelli is going to come up there and place in the top 3.
Yeah.
Even starting off for her first meet.
But also, we don't think that's a negative thing.
No, it's not.
I think that's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
We have another athlete. I mean, there were so many that we just, maybe not top 3 always.
Yeah.
We expect top 10.
Yep.
How about that?
That's true. And this is the 1500. I wonder if we'll see her in the 3000 later on in the season.
Yeah. And who knows what she was supposed to compete in.
That's true.
You know, you just don't know.
That's the thing too that I know we've talked about that a lot, but going back on that, think about who we may not have gotten to see in other events too that may have gotten a shot at something. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, Ashley Carter placed first in the javelin throw, carrying on the legacy of the Carters. My girl Kylie, who's gone off to greener pastures, but Ashley's still around. She gets first in the javelin throw with a PR of 53.49 meters. Followed up very closely by Kiera McCarroll, who won it last week, correct?
Yep.
If that's the correct.
And placed second.
So good enough, right? I was like, gold was good.
1-2. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that.
I will definitely take it. And then if we're just going to talk about throwing highlights, which is always a highlight of every meet, throwing things, you gotta love it.
Kyle loves throwing events.
Which I'd probably be terrible at, to be honest with you.
Oh, honestly, Kyle, you would be trash. These athletes would literally throw circles around you.
Well, if you threw a discus, yes, because it was a bad joke. Maddie Malone placed third in the women's hammer throw. Another very usual thing that we've gotten used to with Maddie.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted, but it is something that we've come accustomed to.
Yeah, and we love it. So let's talk about the athletes that did get to compete. We did have quite a few athletes that competed, even though the events were shortened.
Honestly, I'm shocked. When I saw the list here, I was like thinking that we wouldn't have much to talk about at all.
Well, all of Friday's events happened.
Right.
And Saturday morning's events happened.
Oh, see, I forgot that Saturday mornings actually did happen. Okay.
So it was really just Saturday afternoon and evening that we missed out on.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
We had a lot of great athletes to talk about. So we had Aaliyah Francis competing in the women's 200 meter. There were 65 athletes competing in this, which is ridiculous to me.
It's not the most we've ever seen, but it's still a large number.
But it's just so many. She placed 25th out of those 65 in a time of 23.74 seconds.
In the top half, love to see it. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Women's 400 meter hurdles, we had Tyler Colbert placing 18th out of 43 athletes in 59.24 seconds, which is her fastest of the season.
Excellent. Love
First
to see
time that she's gone sub 60.
Yep.
Which is just an incredible feat. That is something that was my goal in the regular 400, not launching myself over hurdles.
Because keep in mind, she's jumping while she's running.
I could never, because I'm not a collegiate athlete, I was only high school, I could never break that 60. It just broke my heart that I couldn't go sub 60. That was my biggest goal in life, haha. But my running life, and then, 2 knee surgeries later, and boom. Can't do it.
Womp womp. All right, we already talked about it, but we're going to say it again because it's that good. Joyce Camelli, second out of 42 runners in the 1500 meter. Got a time of 4 minutes, 15.6 seconds, followed up by Hallie Porterfield, who got 18th out of 42 in the top half again of the field. Her time was 4 minutes, 29.4 seconds, which is about almost a little over 2 seconds faster than her previous time 2 meets ago. Also, the hammer through, Maddie Maloney, we talked about, who got third out of 37 competitors. 67.3 meter throw for her. A little shorter than her last one, but still a very solid mark for her. Danny Gregory, 25th out of those 37, 54.73 meters, which is a much bigger throw for her, about 3 meters-ish there. Mara Hewalt, 27th out of 37, with a throw of 52.44 meters. Much bigger one for her as well here. So this is a very successful women's hammer throw event.
Absolutely. Moving on to the women's javelin, like we talked about before, Ashley Carter getting that first place finish out of 17 athletes and also the PR of 53.49 meters. And then Kiera McCarroll placing second in 51.8 meters. And then we had Shania Hawley placing 12th in 44.11 meters.
You know, it may be interesting parallel to last year where we talked a lot about Kylie was a star at javelin, but Ashley was always right there with her.
Yep.
And there was 1 or 2 times she supplanted her as the best in a particular meet.
Yeah.
And so now we've seen that. Kiera last week had that incredible meet.
Yes.
And then this week, Ashley kind of comes in and says, you know what, I want some of that action too.
Yep.
And comes on that. So it'll be funny to see if we have this kind of interchange happening the rest of the outdoor season between the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll finish out the women's events for us. We had women's long jump, 2 competitors, Essence Thomas placing 11th out of 24 competitors with a jump of 5.6 meters, and Elise Heddens placing 23rd in 4.97 meters. Then for the women's pole vault, I just love that we have pole vaulters. It still is just, it warms my heart. We have Lexi Lena Weber placing 6th out of 15 with a vault of 3.91 meters, which is significantly higher.
0.2 higher.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Rhiannon Held placing 10th with a mark of 3.76 meters, which is also higher for her.
About 0.05 extra for her on this event for her. All right, let's talk about the men. We'll talk about the 200-meter run first. Brandon Smiley, 25 out of 55 competitors. Not as much as the ladies in terms of number of competitors.
But 55.
That's still a lot.
I mean, that's
still
ridiculous.
21.12 seconds was his time on his 200-meter run. Also, Giovanni Murray, 32nd out of the 55 with a run of 21.27. Both of those were a little bit slower than last time, but I'm sure they'll do a little bit better in the next ones coming up. The men's 400-meter hurdles, Caden Seal, 36 out of 38 with a time of 54.9 seconds, which is his fastest time of the year.
Our hurdlers, man, they killed it this meet.
They did. Maybe they were running from the storms that were coming.
They were practicing, like, if the storm had been bad, they'd have to jump over all the...
get off the ground if the lightning hit, all that kind of stuff.
I was thinking, like, jumping over all the coolers and stuff that got left.
That's true. It's weird that I went to that place. Yeah. I need to leave that alone.
Okay. Men's 1,500 meter. We had 3 Auburn competitors. Cooper Atkins placing 4th out of 33 athletes with a time of 3 minutes 44.1 seconds. Ryan Kinane placing 8th in 3 minutes 45.9 seconds. And Tommy McDonough placing 10th in 3 minutes 47.4 seconds. So both Ryan and Tommy significantly improved their time, and this was Cooper's first time competing in the 1,500 meter and outdoor.
For some reason, I had in my mind Cooper had already run in some distance event already for us, but great. I mean, they all had their fastest time, especially Cooper, because it was his first.
Well, first for outdoor.
Of the season outdoor.
Okay,
yes.
For men's discus, we had Ethan Richter placing 17th out of 25 athletes with a throw of 45.68 meters, and David Edmondson placing 19th in 45.33 meters, which is his farthest throw in outdoor. Continuing
with the throws, we got the men's hammer throw, and I get to talk about the Kyles, as it should always be. Kyle Brown, 6th out of 20 competitors. 67.06 meters was his throw. We also had Eric Ebel, 8th out of 20, 65.23 meters was his throw. And then Kyle Moyson, 9th out of 20, all our guys in the top half of the competition, 64.38 meters, which was just a little shy of his best mark of the year. And then finally, finishing out the throws, we got the men's javelin. Josh Wallace, 12th out of 14 competitors, 53.18 meters was the mark for him.
Moving on to the final 2 men's events, we had the men's long jump. John Murray placing 26th out of 27 athletes with a jump of 6.37 meters, his farthest jump in outdoor so far.
Yep.
And then men's pole vault, 2 competitors jumped the exact, or vaulted, you'd call it jumped, I'd call it vaulted.
I won't argue at this time.
The exact same height. So James Corson placed 9th out of 16 competitors with a vault of 4.91 meters, and Matthew Asplin placing 10th with the same vault of 4.91 meters. So it was a significant improvement for Matthew. His previous one was 4.81, so really happy that he could come up to 4.91 meters.
Absolutely. So look, the great thing is, even in a shortened meet, we had some great accomplishments.
Absolutely.
People that we haven't seen yet this season. Obviously, Joyce Camelli out there, Cooper Atkins out there for the first time.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the whole team starting to come together as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. Hopefully no more bad weather for them.
Exactly. We really want them to be able to compete fully. So next weekend, or April 8th and 9th, so coming up very quickly, we've got the Joe Walker Invitational in Oxford, Mississippi, which obviously we have been to in the past. So looking forward for this.
I was about to say we had been to that, in that one in the past.
I mean, not we, not you and I, but
Right.
the team.
We don't often go to Mississippi. I mean, who really does except for Starkville fans and Rebel
Anyway, we're really excited for the Joe Walker invite.
fans. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.